Welcome to the lecture at Kaupametsä Civic Center. And a few details before we start. All the questions will be answered in the end of the lecture.
If I know how to answer.
If you know, I know, you know. And if you want to ask something, just raise your hand and then you can speak. And people online, please turn off the cameras and microphones. And the people there online, they can send the questions on chat, via chat, but they are also answered in the end of the lecture. And the whole lecture is recorded. Okay, that's all what I want to say, but tonight our lecture is Henna Kettunen, Kainuu Museum Edition Manager. And she will tell us about the traditional food in Kainuu. You are welcome.
Thank you, and welcome all. I'm so happy to see familiar faces. Welcome. Please take a nice position and relax. I will take you for a little time travel with food in Kainuu, and I wish that you will think about during this lecture how you think your traditional food, what is it? How old is your traditional food? And is here something very similar or something totally new? And we are organizing this together with Kaupametsä Civic Center and Kainuu Museum. And luckily, we have this HVS project, project of food ethnic relations. And thanks to you, we can also taste, after my lecture, some traditional delicacies. So you don't have to only listen about the food, so we can also enjoy some small treats after this. And also we will enjoy some dance and music performed by local people living in Kajaani. Okay. So I will first tell you about the food. Food is something that is bringing us all together. Every one of us eats every day. It's part of celebration, but also everyday life. We have here in Kainuu very typical own traditional food, but now, these days, we are often more familiar with global delicacies than our own local traditional dishes. We haven't tasted many our own traditional dish, but many of us has tasted sushi, for example. They haven't eat sushi in Kainuu for very, very long, but it's now very familiar for us, for example. And we can buy a variety of different flavors from the grocery stores and from the restaurants, but we don't have quite many restaurants to serve exactly the traditional food. But the food culture is something that is constantly changing. Of course, we have something that have stayed the same for very, very long time. And about the very long time, we will travel back to prehistory until the Stone Age. Stone Age becomes after the Ice Age. The first people settled down to live in Kainuu right after the Ice Age. And then this was not a land of hunger. Some of you might know our original song, A Land of Hunger, Nälkämaan laulu. It tells about hunger. But when the first people arrived here was plenty of food. So much fish. They hunt, they collect berries and plants and everything. And there was plenty of food for these few people who came to live in Kainuu. It is most likely in the Stone Age that you would enjoy fish almost every day because fishing waters were the primary source of food, of daily nutrients. We had here so many different fish like pike, carp, whitefish, salmon, and plenty of them. And we have in Kainuu lots of rivers and lakes. And also lots of the meat eaten during the Stone Age were deer and beaver and elk. Elk was the most important. Also bear and rabbit. Birds were also a significant source of food, but there was not any farming or they didn't grow any grain during the prehistory period before 16th century. So there was no bread, no porridge, only plants, meat, and fish. Not anything like bread, actually. In Kainuu, they start to grow rye in Paltamo about year 1000 Common Era. But in Finland, people had actually grown grain for thousands of years, but people would have known how to do it. But it was not necessary because here was so many food available by hunting and fishing. So people didn't grow grain for that reason. In the 16th and 17th century, everything changed. What did you eat during that time in Kainuu? It changed a lot. People start to settle down to live in this one place. They didn't wander around anymore, and they start the farming culture. In here, in the wilderness of Kainuu, the farming was with cows and sheep, mainly. And there was also this slash and burn agriculture. It was very important. So they slash the forests, burn them, and then they grow grain in the forest. One fish was still very, very important, the pike. People here call it water wolf, vesisusi. It was the most important fish, and it was also they sell the pike to Europe. People dry the pike and sell it far away from Kainuu. In 1627, the average household here has 1 horse, 3 dairy cows, 2 meat cows, and 6 sheep. But the poorest households, however, had to make with only 1 dairy cow and a couple of sheep. Cows was important for milk and cheese, but not so much as a meat. This was also the time when people in Kainuu stopped enjoying mushrooms. They just ended. In the Stone Age and Iron Age, people have enjoyed mushrooms, but for some reason, during this time when people came and moved from south and west mainly to Kainuu to settle down and they start the agriculture, they also ended up to enjoy mushrooms. And it continues like this until 1950s. Then people learn again how to enjoy mushrooms. And now, of course, we are crazy about picking mushrooms during the late summer and also in the autumn, or some of us at least. But it's a fun hobby and a good food. This is the pike, the water wolf, vesisusi. Yeah. quite a scary fish. Here is a sour fish recipe in the style of Count de Prahe, the Younger. He founded this city in 1651. So this recipe is from the 17th century. And you can take a photo if you want to try this recipe from Kainuu from the 17th century. So it's very, very old, but you can redo it and enjoy it. This sour taste was something very common because people used to store food by making it sour, so it stays good for a long time. And this statue, you might have noticed it, it tells about our city founder, Per Brahe, and it is in the city center right now. Okay, in the late 17th century, here was the first great famine. People were so hungry that time was terrible. Maybe in 2 or 3 years, people didn't get any grain. The rye didn't rise at all. Land was just black and no food at all. And to avoid starving, people would slaughter the important cattle, the cows and the sheep. The sheep decreases by more than 80%. And very important for milk and cheese, dairy cows decreases more than 60%. And even if how hungry people were in Kainuu, they didn't eat the horse. They saved the horses because it was a big taboo during that time, and of course later also to eat horse meat. During these terrible years, this great famine, Kainuu was abandoned. The population falls by half, and half of the houses were abandoned. Well, people, of course, die because of the starvation, but many also leaves to escape the starvation. They live in every single direction, north and south and east and west. But Kainuu was very, very much abandoned and very quiet. And of course, when there is no food, there were not drink also. People was trying to make something like beer. Beer was the most important drink during that time, but there was nothing to make beer. And they tried to figure out some substitutes like juniper and straw. They used straw for making beds, for example, and now they was trying to make some drinks out of the straw. And if there is some little grain, rye or oat, it goes in bread, and there was no beer and spirits. In the 18th century, it was the better century. Of course, during the very first years, it was a very difficult war time here. But after that, the forests were free, and you could just slash and burn the forests wherever you wanted and grow grain. You were able to do this in untouched wilderness wherever you wanted. And sometimes we still had in Kainuu food enough to sell in Oulu city. It's near the coast. It is at the coast. And it was quite a good years during the 18th century. We have a Russian tradesman who sold here some delicacies like oats and millet broads, wheat flour, honey, and onions. Onions were the top treat. Very good. But the government said that luxuries, they can't transport luxury food to Finland. They set some restrictions because it was so expensive. The government wants that money stays here and not go to abroad. So it was forbidden to import goods such as olives, salami, and parmesan into country. When I now think about Kainuu in the 18th century, the first things are not olives and parmesan and salami, but there was a little these streets. But of course, only the wealthiest was able to get these products. And in Kainuu, maybe even the richest ones didn't have enough money to these luxury items. A common person's diet would typically contain bread. Bread was the most important food. Also, the sour fish, turnips, porridge, and gruel. Do you know what is gruel? It's like porridge with a lot of milk or water. And of course, dairy products, cheese, for example, and peas and cabbage, and sometimes dried meat. During the autumn, berries, of course, and we have one dish for celebrations and festives. It was viili. Have you tried viili? Some of you. It is kind of a sour milk. It's like a yogurt, but it's thick, and the texture is like malleable, and yeah, it's very sour milk. You can try it. It has been food for celebrations. Now we eat it every day if we enjoy it. Also, butter was eaten only during the celebrations, and meat. For example, fresh meat was available in some houses only in the autumn time, not in the spring or summer at all. And here is one celebration and the menu for that. This is a funeral catering from 1777 from the city of Kajaani. The elderly Christina Philippin tytär, her funeral was celebrated with 70 pitchers of beer, 3 pitchers of vodka, 48 rye bread, a little meat, a little bit of fresh fish and butter. And of course, there was also the people have bought seasonings from the tradesmen and also some wheat flour. But this is the celebration menu. It has changed a bit. Actually, before we go to the next century, in 1750s, no one in Kajaani city enjoys coffee yet. No one. But here lives 2 residents, the governor and the mayor, and they enjoy some tea. So it's popular with two people living in here. But when we go to 19th century, Kainuu becomes a land of hunger. And if you haven't listened original song yet, I recommend you that you will go after this lecture, maybe tonight or tomorrow, to YouTube, and please listen this. If you search Nälkämaan laulu, Song of the Hunger Land, Anthem of Kainuu, you will see also the English texts, so you will know what the song tells about. Or if you enjoy rock music, I recommend you to listen to the new version of our 120 years about old original song. Casey Sabol, Noora Louhimo, Antti Hyrynen, and Ida Elina has made this song a very good contemporary version. During the 19th century, we have also very difficult hunger periods and plenty of them. This is the century when Kainuu gets this hunger land. People start to think about here is a lot of hunger. Here is the bark bread. It's made out of pines. You peel off the pine bark, dry it, and make a flour out of the trees, pine. And bark bread is a very normal ingredient in everyday meals. It's normal. It's not something unusual. It is something for everyday life. But also, we have something new here. The potato arrives slowly in our region. People talk here that we have a potato propaganda. They don't like potatoes at first. They miss turnip because before the potato, turnip was the thing. And now in the churches, the priest says to everyone, you have to grow potato. Potato is the best and you have to grow it. People don't like it at first, but slowly they get used to it. Also, slash and burn agriculture, the agriculture where they did burn the forests at first, it's banned in the middle of the century. And people don't get enough rye anymore in the Kainuu region. The rye bread is the most, people would like to eat more rye than oat. People prefer rye, but they don't get enough rye anymore. And that's why Kainuu is changing the land of hunger. There was also 1866, the Great Famine, and also the same time, making spirits at home, making alcohol at home is prohibited, and production shipped to factories, the real factories, but also the secret distilleries in the forests. So they are starting to make moonshine there, but it is an important for medicine and for a pay method also. But if they banned the making spirits and alcohol, the coffee arrives and people start to enjoy coffee. Slowly, at first it tastes bad, but every one of you who enjoys coffee knows that at first it tastes bad. You have to learn it a little bit. In 1855, one priest called Lilius priest, or Liliuska, is a big coffee drinker. He takes the coffee beans with him everywhere, all over to Paris. And he gives the beans to a young woman in one house in Kianta. It's northern parts of Kainuu. And he says, brew me coffee with these beans. And the young woman really tries. But soon she brings the beans on a plate to the priest Lilius, and says, I have boiled many, many waters dry, but these beans have not softened. Mm-hmm. She didn't understand it was the water you should enjoy and not beans. But slowly, coffee becomes popular, and young people, they are drinking coffee during the night every day. And when the men go working on the forests, they drink and enjoy about 15 cups of coffee per day. So it's quite a lot. These young people, they are taking the tar to Oulu from Kainuu with these boats. You can see the tar barrels there. And we have a long distances here in Kainuu. And from Kainuu to Oulu, it's also very, very long distance, particularly by this boat. But we had a very rich traveling snack culture. These young people know what food to take with. And this homemade cheese, for example, was very popular to take as a snack with you for long travel. And they are enjoying coffee with these fancy cups. They are traveling by boat, but they are taking a break and enjoying coffee. Year is about I don't know, 1900 maybe. This man is drinking a coffee too. For some reason, it was a habit to drink the coffee from the plate and not the actual cup. But in Kainuu, we break the cheese in bottom of the cup. The cheese was on bottom, and they pour the coffee over the cheese. And for some reason, then they pour the coffee to plate, and the cheese stays in cup, but you drink the coffee slowly from the plate. And he's having this sugar. He's enjoying coffee through this piece of sugar also. What we consider to be traditional food is actually typical every single day food from the 19th century. And here is röntgen, the pie with lingonberry and potato. Some of you may have tasted it. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. It's a very living tradition still. We still enjoy this pie. But many of our traditional pies has disappeared. This is only one traditional pie. We have other traditional dishes. I told you about this cheese, home cheese, juustoleipä. It's a kind of squeaky cheese, and it was very important in Kainuu. And here's our former president enjoying this cheese in the Kajaani city. I don't know the year exactly, but it has been a while ago. Traditional dishes were also turnip pies, turnip soup, turnip porridge. And then when potato came, they started to be potato pies, soups, and porridges. And dry fish was very important. Dry fish soup and fish pie. People enjoy this dry fish soup still in 1980s in many houses, but maybe not anymore so much, unfortunately. And there were no cream or milk in the fish soup in Kainuu, only water. Also, we had a soft bread. We were very lucky that we had the soft bread. Women bake bread many times a week, but in the western parts of Finland, they baked bread only a couple times a year. So it was very dry and hard, the bread, but we luckily had here the soft bread. And in the late 19th century, the buns became popular, a delicacy, a treat with a little bit of sugar. Before that, there were no sugar, only a little bit of honey. But when you could start to buy some sugar, you had enough money to buy sugar, people start to make buns. They enjoyed coffee and buns, and soon we can all taste a traditional bun. Here is some pictures from our archives. I work at the museum, so here is just some examples from different decades. This is 1980s. And this is school. They are enjoying lunch in school, 1994. I don't know if this is looking familiar. They are having a pea soup. It might be a Thursday, because Thursday was a day for a pea soup. And this woman is doing dishes in 1978. You can see how she dries these plates in the cafe. About 1960, these people are picking berries. It has been always very important during the autumn, and it still is. We have to pick berries every single autumn. And these women are unfortunately making the bark flour, the bark bread, pettu, as we call it. So they are making the tree to bread. Here is crayfish party about 2005. We have had a lot of crayfish, not anymore so much. And here they are having a nice coffee time. That is coffee year, and newspaper. Year is around 1910 maybe. Now here's a little riddle for you all. What is this?
Birch bark.
Sorry?
Birch bark.
Birch bark? And what will you do with this? Why you own this? What will you do with it? Mix something, almost? Yeah?
Maybe making smetana out of it.
No smetana. It would be nice if that's the right answer. Yeah.
For washing the dishes.
Yes. Correct answer. This is how they do the dishes before the plastic. Yeah. It was very useful, and you can always redo it, and you get the materials from every single forest. What is this? Another riddle. Some of you might remember it.
Filter.
Yeah, a filter.
Yeah.
No, it's not for coffee filter, no.
It's a Tetra Pak. Ready system.
Yeah. This is a milk bag. They sell the milk in these plastic bags in the 1967 till 1975 in Finland. And when they have drank the milk from this bag, they weave carpets on the floor, plastic carpets.
Yes. I got them in the business in the tools.
Yeah. Okay, we are almost in this day. In the 20th century, global flavors hit the plates, also here in Kainuu. First train helps to bring more exotic flavors like bananas, pineapples, pears, also apples. People really didn't grow apples during that time. Some few might. But when the train station was built here in 1904, after that, people in Kainuu could taste fresh, exotic flavors, not dried bananas, the real bananas, fresh. 1970, the freezers becomes common and helps to store food. And the first pizza restaurant established in Kajaani, 1981. And after that, we have had so many pizza restaurants, and now we have also still many pizza restaurants. But this was the first time. And also 1981, microwave pizza was established in Finland, and it still has the same recipe that it used to have if you take the minced meat microwave pizza. It tastes exactly the same that it used to be in 1981. 1995, Finland becomes part of European Union, and the food prices from other countries drops. People could really buy from grocery stores exotic flavors. In the 1990s, very popular was Tex-Mex. And after the year 2000, Asian flavors are becoming more and more popular. For example, sushi and all the other flavors. And freedom of choice in eating builds also identities. During the past, people really didn't have so much variety where to choose, and now we have so much. it's amazing how much you can choose in the grocery stores, what to eat today, what to eat tomorrow. During the past, there was turnip, potato, sour fish, and, well, porridge. Not a lot where to choose. And also traditional foods start to be romanticized. We have forget many of our traditional dishes, unfortunately, but luckily we have this pie, römpönen, and also the cheese, juustoleipä. Now, even though everything else is changing, eating is one that stays. We eat every day. We eat in celebrations all over the world in different times. Food and eating build identity. It is still maybe part of our identity in Kainuu to enjoy römpönen, the lingonberry pie, and call the typical cheese juustoleipä. In other parts of Finland, they call it leipäjuusto, the other way around, but in Kainuu region, it is juustoleipä. It is maybe something that if you call it like that, people might know you have been in Kainuu. Eating meat is nowadays a big question. Eating meat has become more of everyday activity. Previous times, meat was enjoyed only in festives, only in autumn, only in celebrations, not during the everyday life, every day. Eating a plant-based diet might seem now like a very new phenomenon or something that we are just starting to discuss about, but actually the plant-based diet was much more common during the past. For example, in the 1950, average person in Kainuu enjoys 15 kilos meat in 1 year, 15. And now one person in Kainuu average enjoys 40 kilos of meat in 1 year. So it has doubled and more in 70 years. Now we are discussing environmental impacts of food, and one challenge for us all is that we can ensure to have enough food for everyone and also clean water without overburdening the nature. It is something that we are discussing now. In terms of trends, what's now on top and trendy, this region is unfortunately maybe a little slow to warm up the new trends. It has always been like this, at least from the Iron Age, because in the Iron Age, people in Kainuu didn't start the agriculture to grow grain. Everywhere else in Finland, people grow rye and oat, but not in Kainuu. They started the agriculture quite slowly, but it was not necessary here. And then the potato had to fight, particularly in Kainuu. All the other places in Finland, people might enjoy the potato before, but Kainuu we like turnip. We will stay with turnip. And now maybe we don't have the variety of food trends that some other places already have. They are coming, but a little slowly. Eating is an activity that brings people together in the different times and places. Food culture is changing constantly and also at the same time remaining somewhat the same. For example, we pick berries here. Some people also hunt like they used to, and before the hundreds and thousands of years. Fish is still the same, and the same food grows nearby than centuries ago. and all the on the other hand, food is something that a little bit of divides us. It's different between the ages, the gender, nationality, level of education. Everything affects on what do you enjoy and what do you choose on the plate. Younger people eat differently than the older people. And it was also like this before. In Kainuu, we have this typical pies in the different villages. Some make round pies and some square pies and with the different toppings. For example, this rönttönen, lingonberry and potato is just one pie, but people used to make it with fish or meat or oat milk or something. It was a huge variety of different kind of pies. So you might express yourself and where were you from, also from the past, with the pies. When the young bride goes to the new house, she brings her traditional pie also to another village. And we are celebrating a variety of food cultures here. We enjoy the global delicacies and flavors from all around the world. And soon we can enjoy maybe a traditional dance, but we can celebrate many cultures together. We can celebrate a dance and music this night. And I wish we will together celebrate our variety of cultures more, not only in food, but in many, many ways. We have to celebrate and make festives like they used to in different cultures and not only like we do in Finland with 48 rye bread. No, it's not common anymore. Yeah. And we have so many rich cultures here. Soon we can enjoy coffee and bun and traditional dance and musics originally from Sri Lanka. Thank you very much.
Here, online.
French.
Well, I have, oh, sorry, go ahead. No, I just wanted to ask you, what would you say is the most nowadays?
Yeah.
What's the most typical food from here, from Kajaani?
Nowadays,
You have to make
one.
yes.
It's pizza with pineapple. No, it's very common, but if we think about traditional ways, it's potato still and maybe some minced meat. Which,
Like to ask a general question that we know that Kainuu is in the border position between East and the West and Orthodox and Lutheran religions. And was this traditional food affected by this
yes, very much.
Eastern?
Yeah, and like I said, people stopped enjoying mushrooms, but in the Orthodox culture, they know how to eat mushrooms. In the eastern parts of Kainuu, they enjoy them, but in all around region, only after the 1945, when the evacuee people from Karelia came and teach again how to enjoy mushrooms. It's one example, but yeah, this region is between south and north and west and east. So we have so many food that has affected to our food culture.
I would like to say that I would like to mention that there are a lot of hunters nowadays also here inside the museum, and people have elk meat and also birds. Like I have to say, my father, he was like the hunter, and also I have been hunting, so it's a big part of food here in Kainuu.
Yeah.
And I don't know what is peijainen in English, but when we hunt as a group, we offer like good meat for the people in our villages.
Yeah. It has been a huge celebration when you have hunted a bear or an elk. It's the Feijainen, the big celebration where the food, everybody enjoys the meat. Yeah. And it's still going on. And hunting associations are still very important associations in Kainuu. There is young and older people together. They're moving in the forest and still hunt. Yeah, that's true. And it's quite similar than it has been hundreds and hundreds of years. And also fishing is very important. But we don't eat the bark bread anymore. Well, actually, in Suomussalmi they do. They have one bread in Ämmänleipä where it's a little bit of bark bread, bark flour, but not a lot.
Concerning hunting, I think Kainuu is the region where you don't need the permission from the landowner to go and hunt, for example, birds, because it's the state owned land where anyone can go hunting. I know this from my husband. So that was the benefit for the area when we moved here from Karelia.
In the past, hunters prefer more forest birds than water birds. I don't know why, but they appreciate more the forest birds. And I don't even know what is the difference between those birds, so don't ask. But it's
The birds in the forest eat different dishes themselves, and in the water the birds are eating something else.
yeah.
Not so nice.
So maybe the taste is different. Yeah. Maybe the bird taste is also different.
Yes, the meat is different.
Okay. Let's go and have a coffee. Thank you all. We can continue discuss and soon we'll enjoy the dance and musicals. Thank you so much.
Thank you.